Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol, and today I'm going to be giving you a brand new episode, part 2 of What If Naruto Was a Ruthless Prodigy with Kurama. Remember to get this one too 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new episode over on Anime King of What If Naruto Was the Reincarnation of Gilgamesh, and enjoy that guys. And if you're new, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and destroy that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family, and thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this? Let's begin now guys. So the last part we left off, Naruto was falling off of a cliff, as he had red hair along with blonde highlights coming down at the side of his hair, which gave him a rather outstanding look as he stood out in a crowd. However, not because of his personality. Naruto landed in a group of spiders, an entire grand body of spiders, as he took them on all at once. He cut, he sliced, he destroyed, as he kept on dodging, trying to evade their strikes. He was moving like a ruthless ninja, someone that did not think with emotions, but without them, someone that just got things done. He was a beast. That was until the centipede arrived. However, Naruto was planning for this, actually waiting for it, as the battle kicked off with Naruto dodging the beast, moving away from it and placing his shirt on it. His shirt that was covered with explosive tags. When they went off, they blew the thing to smithereens, taking out the spiders as well. Those were actually created by him. Not many people know this, but Naruto was what they would classify as a prodigy. The only one that actually knew it besides himself was his fox friend Kurama, as Kurama has always been there. Since the Death Reaper seal, something happened to the Nine Tails, as a beast found itself different, and it did not know why. It tried to understand these strange feelings and understanding, as it soon come to find out that it cared. Yes, it found itself caring about this young boy. Since he was a child crying, Kurama cared about Naruto, watching over him, keeping him safe. As Kurama found himself watching over the boy too, he didn't know what end. However, he cared for the child. As Naruto grew, they met, and he introduced himself to him. He even introduced himself with his own name, something that he doesn't just give out that easily. So yes, that was a big honor. As Naruto came to look up to him, Kurama told him the truth. Naruto knew. However, the child never asked about his parents. He did ask once regarding Harrison, but for Kurama he never asked him about it, as Kurama did not want to bring up that night either. Both of them seemed to stay away from that conversation. However, things have been good, so they leave it as such. Kurama started to berate him though for doing something rather stupid, as he recently learned the wall walking exercise, and to practice it he threw himself off of a cliff. Some time passed after that, as Naruto was at the academy rather tired, After another long night session, Sasuke, Uchiha, and Naruto were friends. They met and they fought. The both of them seemed to understand each other through their blows, and they became friends. Sasuke was probably the only other human that knew that Naruto was more than he let on. Not to mention, Naruto did not go off of things by feelings but facts. And important details, no feelings were ever included in what he did. None at all. So with that, the academy test finally came around. When said test came around, it was a breeze for Naruto, as people truly did not know just how powerful or how skilled he really was. However, there was no more holding back. He wasn't in the academy anymore, as he would fight at his fullest, especially against those that chose to do him harm. Mizuki was one such person, as both him and Naruto came to blows when Naruto found him trying to steal a forbidden scroll. A battle engaged between the two as they clashed. Mizuki was caught off guard and that cost him his life, leaving Naruto with the forbidden scroll. As he opened it, sometime later Naruto was found by the Anvus with the scroll and dragging the dead Mizuki. They were surprised, really so. Hiruzen tried to convince Naruto that he was not the Nine Tails, but Naruto was under no conception that he was. But he was playing the fool. He also lied to Hiruzen and told him that he only learned one technique from the scroll, but that was not true. As the time finally came, Naruto was placed on Team 7 with Sakura and Sasuke. He told Sasuke that Sakura was going to die. Having taken a life, Naruto now more than ever understood how dangerous this world was, and she was weak and pathetic. When their sensei arrived, there wasn't much said between him and Naruto, as Naruto kept most of his opinions to himself, as he wasn't sure what his dreams or goal was, and he said that was kind of pathetic. However, he supposed he will find that out soon. When Sakura made a huge fuss, everything involving Sasuke, well, Naruto did not like that. When the day finally came, Naruto threatened to kill her, as he wanted to see her reaction, but instead of fighting back, she dropped and screamed and closed her eyes. Kakashi warned Naruto to never do that again, as Naruto simply accepted what he said. However, Sakura was left with a dilemma, as she started to think about her life, thinking about why she actually became a kunoichi. Everything started to pile on as she thought about it all, as Naruto's actions had truly indeed changed her. And now Kakashi saying that one of them would be sent back, as she sat there, feeling hopeless and feeling helpless. Naruto emerged from the forest, as he came to test himself against Kakashi, just to see how far he has reached by training on his own against a Jonin, as he rushed towards the man. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across and please check it out for yourself. So as we begin this new episode, Kakashi Hatake was watching. The young boy rushed towards him, as it made him thought about what he's been able to gather so far. Naruto Uzumaki was a very average child. There was nothing really special about him on paper. While he was the host of the Nine Tails, on paper his scores were average. His grades were a bit below average. There was nothing spectacular about him. Nothing that would make him stand out in academic wise. But his features were a different matter. But what he's been able to witness so far was change in his view on things. It was how the boy perceived things around him. Seemed to how he didn't want Sakura to proceed forward because he believed that she would no doubt die because of how weak she was. Kakashi had his book in his hand, as he did not expect much. And he was right when the child arrived and threw a fist. Kakashi dodged out of the way, reappearing behind the boy to knock him down. In that very moment, Kakashi's one eye went wide, the book fell from his hand. He's been through numerous situations where his life was on the line countless times in the past. However, he's rarely come across someone that could trigger him like this. Every fiber of his being, every point of his body stiffened His hand tightened, his fist clenched. Kakashi stomped the ground and turned with full force to knock the head off the person behind him, because there was no possible way that this could be an average individual. Somehow someone had gotten in Konoha, a trained killer. Naruto had to get out of here. The Genins had to get out of here. His mind was going crazy as he spun and lashed out. The man was mortified when Naruto dodged his fast-paced fists. It seems like the boy's body moved on its own. Wait, Naruto? He thought. Kakashi was confused and shocked as well as Naruto gazed focused on the hand that was passing his face. The other Naruto that was in front of him a moment ago already launched a kunai directly towards his temple. Kakashi substituted away as he was replaced with a log. The moment it made contact, he was gone. The copy ninja reappeared a distance away, looking towards his shaking hand as his gaze focused on the two Naruto that stood on the field. He was heavily confused. Was that truly all from that child? If the child was not able to dodge, he would have been seriously hurt, because Kakashi was not holding back. He reinforced his fists and everything. However, the presence that he got, it wasn't supposed to be coming from a child, let alone an ordinary child. Just what in the world was going on here, he thought to himself. Naruto's head then snapped around, and the copy ninja blinked in surprise. He was looking directly at him, but there was no way that he could find him that easily. He was wrong. As the child started to rush towards him, the clone by his side, Kakashi jumped out of the tree as he landed on the ground. As he watched Naruto, the child did not speak as he drew the blade on his back. Kakashi watched as he threw it to the other hand, and threw it to the other hand, moving at a quick succession while running. How was this young child able to handle the blade like that? Just what was going on? The copy ninja ducked under the clone that jumped above. He dodged the right hook. He then turned and dodged Naruto's slash. He flipped and twisted and dodged. Kakashi was actually actively avoiding the attacks. This wasn't supposed to be possible with a genin, but he was actually putting in a bit of work. The boy was slicing and slashing and slicing. Kakashi stepped past a tree branch. He watched as the blade tear through it without hesitation. It was sharp. What the boy did next though, he threw the goddamn thing right at him. The copy ninja ducked and reached. He grabbed the handle of said blade. Kakashi winced in pain as he was forced to release the blade, looking at his hand with shock as blood dripped down his forearm. Not expecting this. Usually when someone got their opponent in a trap or something, they show some emotion, but when this child is fighting, there was nothing. The handle of the blade had retracted miniature blades that are ripping into his flesh. The copy ninja was confused until he saw the Fuinjutsu marker as the blade was falling. However, that was not common. The copy ninja flipped away as he grabbed the clone by the leg. He threw him up in the air as he vanished. Reappearing, Kakashi sent the thing sailing back down. As he was falling, before the clone had poof, it had released 3 kunais towards him. Pulling out one of his own, he deflected all of them. For the brief second that he took his eyes off Naruto, he could no longer see him. The copy ninja landed on the ground when suddenly he felt the breeze blew. Kakashi snapped his gaze upwards as 100 Naruto appeared. They all linked arms together, holding on to each other as they block out the goddamn sun, using their form like a massive blanket coming down. The copy ninja started to move until he looked down. Boom! The whole group of Naruto covered him for 2 seconds before they poofed away as the explosion swallowed everything within the vicinity. Sakura Haruno was shocked. Was that really all Naruto? She couldn't believe it, witnessing the full fight. She could barely keep up. She sat there, now more than ever understanding why he said what he said. She couldn't do that. At the back of her mind, she wondered if even Sasuke could do something like that. However, the thought did not come to the forefront of her mind. Meanwhile, Sasuke was rather shocked as the smoke cleared to show a massive crater in the ground, as he saw Naruto standing where Kakashi was originally standing. Naruto was holding the book in his hand that the copy ninja had released and allowed to fall on the ground. He was just standing there when suddenly, Naruto jumped away as Kakashi's hand came from the earth, grabbing nothing in the process. The copy ninja tore himself out. The attack from earlier had left a mark on him. The gloves on his hands were burned. His pants legs were burned. Even the front of his jacket was a bit singed. However, he was still able to get away without too much damage. It seems I've underestimated you, he said. More than I ever thought I would. However, it also seems that the Academy did not know anything about your true skills. Isn't that right, Naruto, he said. Here, said Naruto as he tossed the book towards him. Kakashi reached out to catch said book, eyeing it and eyeing Naruto at the same time when suddenly, Naruto started to go through hand signs. The copy ninja was confused at first until he recognized the signs. Wait, no, he shouted. But it was too late. Wind style. Swirling wind wall, said Naruto. A massive construct of wind surrounded the two. A white dome, trapping the both of them inside. The copy ninja was more than shocked. This was no normal technique. He saw this before, performed by a sand ninja. This was an A-rank wind technique. Mostly used for defensive purposes, some offensive. However, the fact that this mere common child was able... No, this child was not common. It seems like everyone had overlooked him. His secretiveness, his quietness, being so gloomy, facts, not believing in most things. The way he spoke to Sakura. This child was not average, and they all missed it. Give me the bells, said Naruto. The copy ninja looked at him as he felt the wind swirling around him. And why would I do that, he said, as he had a lot of questions to ask about how the boy knew this. Because if you don't, I'll take you out right here and now, as much as you wanted us to kill you. If we do so, we won't have a sensei. So, bells, or I'll take your life. A good strategy you've been able to pull off. However, I'm not about to hand the bells over to you. Naruto said nothing more as he pulled his shirt apart. The copy ninja eyes went wide. Boom! As the following explosion wasn't normal. With a powerful wind technique, the moment the wind came in contact with the flames, what followed was an explosion unlike any other. Sakura was thrown. Sasuke was thrown. Everything within the vicinity was ripped apart. It was torn to smithereens. The ground was jagged and torn, leaving a colossal crater with burn marks. Unlike any other, trees were burnt. They were rooted out. The blast was terrible. So much so that nearby ninjas and envoys came to investigate on what was going on. No common test should be this destructive, as Naruto had just destroyed a huge portion of the training floor. The real Naruto reappeared as he stood there, his blade sheathed on his back, his hands at his side, his hair blowing from the wind all around him. As he waited, he turned his gaze to the right as he saw ninjas arriving in the clearing field. He then turned his gaze to the left as he saw envoys situated across the trees in the far distances. As he remained quiet, focusing on the smoke and the explosion, As he waited, when the smoke and dust cleared, Naruto noticed that the ground had been uptorn. He stepped forward. Suddenly, the ground opened up in front of him as Kakashi Hatake crawled out. As Naruto noticed, the hole was extremely deep. Kakashi seemed exhausted, terribly so. In order to avoid the blast, Kakashi created the earth wall. However, the blast was so vicious that he had to empower it with so much of his chakra to not completely collapse down. He then used a hiding like a mole technique to dig underground, further strengthening the earth wall with his chakra by creating a clone in that tight little space. While he covered himself, the clone that he had supplied with a great amount of his chakra had created a double-sided wall to protect him underground, allowing him to survive the colossal blasts. That eye that he kept hidden under his headband is constantly activated all the time, taking a portion of his chakra. So with using so much, his body was suffering a more greater effect than normal ninjas would. Now I see why you're classified as a Jonin, said Naruto. I must say, I am a little disappointed that you came out of that scot-free. And so far, it's one of my most powerful techniques, and yet, you still survive it. I'm impressed. You're speaking like you're the teacher here, and I'm the student, said Kakashi. You did say that we should come at you with the intent to kill. Are you taking your words back? No, I'm not, said Kakashi. Well then, I suppose this test is over. As Naruto raised the two bells in his hand, Kakashi blinked in shock and surprise. He looked down. There was nothing there. Ha! How did you get those? He said, looking rather confused. Usually when the mind is occupied on one subject that is rather intense, especially in a stressful situation, one tends to ignore smaller details around them. Naruto said. Kakashi watched the chakra threads came from his hand. Kakashi was confused. Naruto had a great amount of chakra. How was he able to fine-tune it this much? To be able to perform that technique, that just shouldn't be possible. A confused look on his face as he turned his gaze as he saw the ninjas nearby. He raised his hand. Time out, he said. I have to sort this out. You go and do that, said Naruto as he walked off. He made his way straight towards the forest. As Sakura and Sasuke was just recovering, Sakura looked out as she couldn't see anyone out there. What the hell happened, she thought to herself. She was confused. She almost jumped out of her skin. When she looked up and saw Naruto looking down at her, she screamed as she covered her mouth. However, she was also afraid. She was alone here, and the last time they were alone he tried to kill her. Naruto, what are you doing here, she said, looking around slightly so she could run if she needed to. Naruto raised the bells in his hand. She looked at him with surprise. You got them from Sensei? Yes, I did. That means I won the test. And that also means I can pick who I want to go forward and who's left behind. The moment she heard that, her heart sank, as she knew that he would never choose her. After all, he told her earlier that she needed to give up and that she would die if she continued. Well, I guess this is it for me, huh? She said in a moment of clarity for once. Because I know that you're never gonna pick me. You're gonna pick Sasuke. But maybe you are right, she said. As I now think about it, all I did was focus on Sasuke throughout the entire academy. I've been trying to remember why I even joined the academy, and there's not a solid good reason other than fawning over my crush. My mom and dad were so proud, especially when they heard that I was going to graduate. They were so happy when they saw my headband. They said that I was meant for greatness. I was going to be the special one in the family and become the top Kunoichan, not just in the village but the entire world. And now I know that that dream is just laughable, because at the time I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking about what Sasuke was doing. I have no idea why I'm even telling you about this. It's not like you actually care. But you were right about one thing. I am useless. Maybe I'm not ready to become a ninja. She got to her feet as she started to walk away, when suddenly, she felt something grab her hand as she turned. He opened her palm as he placed one of the bells in her palm. Sakura blinked in shock and confusion, as she did not understand. I don't understand. Why would you give this to me, she said. Because you're useless. Sakura blinked as she sweat dropped. The fact that you know that is a good sign that you are ready to be a ninja, said Naruto. Your emotional downpour that you just did, it didn't bother me in the slightest because things like that aren't important. What is important is that your parents don't have to mourn you. And to do so, you need to get stronger. And you just told me that you can because you know that you're weak. You know that you wasted time. While the academy isn't much, it taught us values. You have that inside, however, your attitude, your fondness for Sasuke covers that. However, you just show me that you have what it takes. You also have the drive to go on if you just focus on what is actually needed. And I think you do have that. So it's a logical thing to give you this bell. Because you have the determination to go far. His words had no emotions in them. Because he wasn't doing this on emotions. He didn't care what she said about her parents being happy. All he cared about was that she knew that she was weak. And when you knew that you had a problem, you could change that. Naruto looked her directly in the eyes. Do not make me regret my decision. You have potential. Do not waste it. He then turned and started to walk away. Wait, so what now? I'm going to give this to Sasuke, said Naruto. Sakura looked actually worried. But what about you, she said. Don't worry. I have that covered. Meet us in the middle of the field, he said. With that, he was gone. Sakura looked down into her hand, as a smile came on her face as she tightened her fist around the bell. She was happy. Naruto saw something inside of her. Earlier, he said that she was not worthy, but now she had a chance. Sakura was confused as she had no idea why his words affected her so much, and she barely knew him. She had no idea. As she quickly made her way off. Moments later, next time, don't take every goddamn thing for yourself. I was also trying to test myself against a Jonin, but I never got the goddamn opportunity, Sasuke said, glaring at Naruto. Well, when he does become your sensei, you can fight him whenever you want. Speaking of that, are you sure that this is going to work? Sasuke said. The logic is there. I doubt that it will fail, said Naruto. Fine, Sasuke said, holding a bell. Hey guys, over here, Sakura said. As the both of them made their way, Kakashi coming back over to the group. Well, I suppose you guys are ready to get go. Kakashi stopped as the bell went off, signifying the end of the exams. Well, I suppose that is that. You do know that if we hadn't gotten the bells, you would have been required to give us more time, correct? And why would I have done that, said Kakashi. Because you came 3 hours late, and you lied about the original time. I told you, a black cat crossed my path, Kakashi said. That excuse is really idiotic and stupid, said Naruto, causing Sakura to chuckle a bit at the downpour look on Kakashi. Fine, enough bantering. I guess I can give you guys 2 more hours. However, we have a little complication, because you, Naruto. The other 2 held their hands out. And what's this? I gave them the bell, said Naruto. You did? So, that means you're going to go back to the academy. I suppose so, said Naruto. Both Sakura and Sasuke look confused. Well then, I guess I'll head back. I wish you guys well. Wait, Sakura said. But you can't. You were the one that got them. What the hell, Sasuke said. I thought you said that this would work. I guess I was wrong, said Naruto. But don't worry. 1 more year's not a big deal. And it won't take that long. He said, walking away. Sakura snapped her head to Kakashi. Sensei, you can't fail him. He's the one that got the bells. I don't even deserve this, Sakura said, as she threw the bell to the ground. I don't deserve it. I didn't do anything. Sasuke threw his bell down as well, as they looked at him. I never got my chance to fight a Jonin, so we'll restart the test and do this fairly. Really, Kakashi said. You two are willing to do that even after witnessing what Naruto is capable of. If I fail, Sakura said. As long as I give it my best. She said, glancing towards Naruto. Kakashi glanced towards Sasuke. That was his response, because he was ready. However, Kakashi's eyes smiled as he picked up both of the bells. He looked at them in his hands as he smiled. Fond memories returning back to him. You all pass, he said. Sasuke blinked, as a tiny smirk came on his face. I guess it worked. What? Sakura said. Kakashi went on to explain the true meaning of the test. The fact that the both of them were willing to give up the bells. The fact that Naruto won and gave them the bells. The team was working together and not against one another. Something that he respected greatly. He brought them to the memorial stone. As he taught them a powerful life lesson, he dismissed the other two. Follow me, he said to Naruto. As the both of them arrived at the office. Kakashi, you're late. Hiruzen was surprised. Naruto, what are you doing here, he said. I brought him with me, Hokage-sama. Kakashi said. First off, Team 7 has passed, he said. Hiruzen had a knowing smile on his face. But that is not all. Would you do the honors, Naruto, he said. What's going on, Hiruzen said. I presume he's just concerned, or perhaps worried about, what I'm truly capable of. You pretend like you do not know, but you already know, don't you, said Naruto. Know what, Hiruzen said. As Naruto gaze looked around. You're hiding that crystal ball of yours. I have no doubt in my mind that you were using it to watch us while we were practicing. After all, that explosion, that would have had to caught your attention. Seems like you know me too well. It's a reasonable thing to do. You are the Hokage after all. That I am, Hiruzen said. Now would you mind explaining to me how the hell did you learn that technique, he asked. From the Forbidden Scroll. You told me that you only learned one technique, the Shadow Clone Jutsu. That's correct. But I said I only learned one technique because I had only learned one in the short amount of time I had. However, I had memorized over a dozen. I figured that learning the Shadow Clone Jutsu would be the best option because the jutsu come with a great adaptation. It allowed the user to get the memory feedback of the clone. And the fact that I can summon so much, which means I can learn an A-rank technique in just a short couple of days. As you can see from the results, the others are just as powerful as well. However, going on the backlash, I know that I can't overdo it, otherwise I would burn myself out. Both men were silent as Naruto looked at them. Is something wrong? Naruto, when did you become so what? Naruto said, looking at Hiruzen. You're different. You mean when did I become so smart, intelligent, learning fast? Kakashi looked at Naruto. Given your file at the academy, you have to see our skepticism. Has anyone been helping you? Kakashi asked. No, said Naruto. However, Naruto started to take off his shirt, both men looking at him oddly. However, when he did remove it, he brought his hand up. Around 10 seals appear on his body. Hiruzen got up as he looked at Naruto in shock. What are those? Seals I've created and some I've perfected. Seals you've what? Hiruzen said, confused. As both men looked at him, time skip. Hiruzen Sarutobi sat in his office. It's been 1 month and 3 weeks since Team 7 became an official team and started to do D-rank missions. His mind was still trying to control the revelation that Naruto had dropped on him despite the time that had passed. The boy was special. No, scratch that. Naruto was a prodigy. Amongst prodigies. He was going down a path that Hiruzen didn't even realize. The boy was able to see one drawing of a weighted seal in a first copy Fuinjutsu book and was able to replicate it to his own. The weighted seal uses chakra to mimic weights so that he could use his chakra at any time, and given that he had powerful amount of chakra, Naruto could make them as heavy as he want, like 10 boulders stacked on one, and he was using that the entire time to strengthen himself. Kakashi had been shocked to knowing that the boy was that fast even with weighted seals, but not just that. He had all sorts of seals on his body that some he had created and some that he had done himself, mastering them through the books just from seeing a glimpse of them. His footsteps were silent as he was able to mimic seals that erase sound and place them at the bottom of his feet. And because of his large amount of chakra, the consumption was nothing. Hiruzen always knew that Naruto was special, but he always just thought that Naruto was just a quiet child. And he was just average, but this was... He truly lived up to his father's name, and maybe even beyond that. Meanwhile, with Team 7, Sakura lay on her back. Her hair was a mess. Her shirt was drenched with sweat. As she was taking in deep breaths, she was exhausted. She had cuts and scrapes all over. The normal Sakura would have never looked this way, especially with her crush nearby. Nothing happened instantaneously. Despite her words, it took a while. She wasn't used to training, she wasn't used to pushing herself, however. Naruto said nothing. That was strange. He said absolutely nothing, and yet she wanted to show him that she could do it. He never commented that she was failing or nothing. Even when she sometimes put training off, it seems like his wordless speech was more than effective than his wordful speech, which was odd. It was just his glances. So Sakura has been working hard, and Kakashi has been training them, something that he doesn't usually do. After all, he was an Anbu captain. However, the one to berate him was Naruto. And Naruto did not just berate him, Naruto went to the Hokage. After 1 week of doing nothing but D rank, Naruto went straight to the Hokage and made a formal report that Kakashi was not properly training any of them, which the Hokage chastised Kakashi for, as this was due to his laziness that he was not doing anything. As Naruto had brought proof, because he had spied on the other teams. Hiruzen was surprised that not even the other Jonins knew that he was there, which should be impossible given his large chakra reserve. However, that was courtesy of another seal, which helped him manage his chakra to an extreme amount, and he's been doing this for years now. That is the reason why he had such good control over his chakra despite the large capacity. After the formal talk with Hiruzen and Kakashi, Kakashi started to actually act like a Jonin. However, what was recently found out was startling. Flashback. Upon asking about the techniques that Naruto had and that he was currently working on, they wanted to know the severity of each and every one of them, so he didn't end up killing himself. The problem was, Naruto did not know what kind of nature he was. Kakashi brought 3 papers with him. I need each of you to pump your chakra into these papers. As he started to explain, if your chakra nature was wind, it would split. If it was lightning, it would crinkle. Earth, it would crumble. Water, it would sag. Fire would burn. Sasuke was the first to go. The paper burned and also crinkled. So that means Sasuke-kun has two, Sakura said. Yes, and quite impressive. Sakura went next. The paper sagged, and then another side of it. It crumbled slightly. She blinked in shock. I also have two, she said. Kakashi was more surprised there, given her background. That was truly impressive. You're next, he said to Naruto. As Naruto took the paper and held onto it. For a moment nothing happened. As they all looked at one another and looked at him. Why isn't it working? Sakura said. Suddenly the paper split into multiple sections. One side burned, another crinkled, another crumbled, another sagged, and the last one shred into pieces. All of them stood there shocked, as none of them speak, not even Kakashi. End of flashback. On that day, Kakashi's thoughts were confirmed. This boy wasn't normal. There was no one reported in history that has ever had 5 natures. The Hokage possessed 5, however, he learned them as he go on. No one was just born with the capability of being able to do all 5 right away. That should not be possible. Hiruzen actually felt disappointed in himself, like he's dropped the ball on Naruto, not seeing how special the child was. Granted, Naruto could have said something, but given his behavior and his personality, he wouldn't have. But Hiruzen hadn't been paying attention that much. He hadn't. Now one might think that there would be jealousy, especially from Sasuke given how powerful Naruto seemed to be. But strangely enough, there was none. Sasuke was actually excited. For the first time in a long while, his mind was not focused on what happened to his people, what his brother did. His mind was focused on defeating Naruto, as the both of them had this rivalry. From the day they met and fight, neither of them wanted to submit. And now, Sasuke had been pushing himself further and further to try and prove and show that he was the better amongst the two. And he would not stop until he achieved that feat. During this time though, Kakashi had them training, and he had to say, they were paying off rather well. Time skip. At the office. Is this some sort of test? Naruto asks. His gaze was focused on Hiruzen, situated in the mission room. Iruka Mino was to the left. There was another Chunin to the right. As the others looked towards Naruto, as Hiruzen had just informed them that he would be giving them another D rank. Sakura was confused by his statement. So was Sasuke, not understanding what kind of test he was talking about. Is it? Naruto said. And what are you talking about? Hiruzen said. These missions, Naruto asks. Is it up to us to ask for something better? Or is this just the norm? Because if it is, you are simply wasting our time. Naruto, Iruka interjected. Doing D-rank missions is not a waste of time. It helps build teamwork and character, and help you understand what it truly means to be a genin. It will truly help you in your career. How so? Said Naruto. Iruka blinked in confusion. I just said it. It helped build teamwork, yes I know that. However, as you can see, me and my team get along rather well. We're not at each other's throats, and we don't hate one another. However, sending us after cats, painting houses, carrying groceries, cutting weeds, that is simply wasting our time. I would understand doing this for 2 weeks, or maybe 3, but a month has passed, and without the proper experience and understanding of what the world is truly capable of, wouldn't this just dull our skills? As much as Iruka wanted to rebuttal what Naruto said, his words were truthful. Hiruzen's gaze was focused on Naruto before it went towards Sasuke, who seemed to be in full agreement as he folded his arms. It then snapped towards Sakura, and the girl was actually in full agreement as well. Kakashi sighed as he was the one that would take the heat for whatever Naruto said. And given Naruto rather standoffish behavior, it might not seem like he's a problematic or rude child, but because he did not do things with emotions, one would be offended by the way he speaks or the way he acts. But he truly meant nothing by it. As Hiruzen spoke, so you believe after this short month of being a genin, you believe that you're ready for something higher, something more dangerous. Despite having a small glimpse of what the world is capable of, Hiruzen said, his gaze directed towards Naruto. Not just me, said Naruto. Hiruzen looked towards Sakura as he saw the unwavering determination in her eyes, and same for Sasuke. Hiruzen smiled. It seems like things were better than he could ever imagine. Time skip. But I must say, sensing someone's intent is much better than a normal sensor ability. As Naruto was having a conversation with Kurama, of course it is. And coming from me, it's even greater than anything anyone can even imagine. I suppose you're right, said Naruto. They were on the road. It was a rather hot day. As Sakura was speaking to the client, a man known as Tezuna, about his land. Naruto could immediately tell that something was not right. The way the man was acting. His acting was off, but there was something that he was not telling them. However, he doubted that someone would deliberately hire Konoha ninjas to put them in a trap. That would be downright stupid, especially that he's from a village nearby. That village would not survive the repercussion of what would happen, especially given this team. They had the last Uchiha, and they had him, the host of the Nine Tails. As they made their way, Naruto noticed a puddle ahead. It seems we have company. As I told you, kid, Kurama said. It's a lot better. Kurama's sensor ability was a lot more powerful. The only reason why Naruto started to dabble into this was because he started to tamper with the seal. However, even at the knowledge that he had on Fuinjutsu, while he was able to create weighted seals and many others, this seal was far too complex. It was far too confusing for him at the moment. There was nothing that he could do to bypass it. However, he was able to tweak it slightly. With no idea what he was doing, he couldn't afford to dive into too much. However, it seems like he allowed it to bring out more of the potential. Kurama's sensor ability was different from his chakra, while it was also ingrained in it. Constantly, the way it was designed, Kurama chakra was dropping into Naruto's system. To give him a better control of it, he had to say the fourth Hokage was truly a genius when it came to Fuinjutsu, as Naruto could slowly feel the intent around him. And he could also feel the intent from that puddle, while his range was not that strong, or not that great, because it was still restricted by that damn seal. It was enough. Naruto gazed towards the copy ninja. There was no doubt in his mind that he knew about this, but why wasn't he saying anything? Naruto decided to remain quiet, as he prepared himself. The moment they passed by the puddle, two ninjas exploded outwards and ripped Kakashi apart. So, it's a test, Naruto thought to himself. Sakura saw Sasuke run forward as he threw a kunai and then a shuriken, stopping the chain that linked the two demon brothers. She quickly pulled a kunai and jumped in front of the client. The one to the left ran towards Naruto, Gozu intending on taking Naruto out right here and now. He slashed with the gauntlet. Naruto cried out in pain as he collapsed downwards. Two down, Gozu said. Sakura's eyes went wide, but she kept in her scream. She gripped her kunai. She told herself that Naruto was going to be fine. She couldn't allow this guy to pass her. She just couldn't. And another one, Gozu said. However, the moment he lifted his arm up, his arm was pulled back by ninja wires, confused until his leg was pulled from underneath him. The next moment, Naruto was on his back, as he lowered himself and placed a kunai directly at his throat. What the hell? Gozu said, confused. I I killed you. Naruto drive the kunai straight outwards. No words, no hesitation, as he split his throat clean open. Miyaizu, who was a full witness of the scene, who jumped away from Sasuke, eyes went wide. With no intention of safety or anything, he rushed towards Naruto, with the sole intention to kill, to bash his skull in with a gauntlet. Naruto's gaze met with Sakura as he mouthed the words to her. She was confused at first, but seeing his eyes, she threw the kunai directly towards Naruto. As Miyaizu shot forward, Naruto spun around. As their eyes met, Miyaizu thrust his gauntlet down. However, Naruto tilted to the side, chakra threads appearing on his fingertip, attaching to the tip of the kunai. As he pulled his hand down, the thing flipping in the air. A clone of Naruto appeared above and grabbed the thing before it buried it right into Miyaizu's skull. His eyes rolled back as he collapsed and crumbled in front of Naruto. Tazuna was freaked out. From the moment he saw this kid, he knew that he wasn't normal, because when he first arrived, he insulted all three of them, believing that they wouldn't be able to protect him, but just looking into those eyes alone, it scared him. And now, after witnessing what the kid had done, even Sakura was a bit shaken, never witnessing someone died in front of her before. As she heard stories and rumors, but this was different. As Naruto stood there, no mercy, no empathy, nothing at all. He just did what was needed. Both demon brothers lying dead at his feet. It seems I've once again taken your spotlight, he said, looking up towards Sasuke, who stuttered for a moment. Yeah, you did. You got in my way to prove that I'm your better once again. Huh. Maybe next time, said Naruto. How long are you going to hide for? Kakashi reappeared, as fine as ever. He decided to discard of the two corpses before returning back to the scene. Good work, you three, he said, praising them on Sakura quick thinking to protect the client. Naruto and Sasuke taking on both demon brothers, and Sakura and Naruto working without words. He was impressed. However, the act of killing seemed to weigh heavily on Sakura, judging by the look on her face. Giving Sasuke a pass, it didn't seem to bother him that much. Or perhaps he was just pretending. Kakashi turned to face Tazuna. I was wondering who they were going to go after. I wanted to see if they were coming after me, if they were just random here. However, they were after you, he said. What are you not telling us? I don't know what you're talking about, Tazuna said. Trust me, this is not a good time to lie, Kakashi said, giving the man a knowing look as he swallowed thickly. Fine, he said, breaking under pressure. I lied. This mission, He decided to spill everything to them, as he started to plead and beg with them not to leave him out here. He even went to blackmail, emotional-wise, how his grandson was going to hate Konoha ninjas, and his poor granddaughter, what Gato would do to his family. We should head back to the village, said Naruto, without even skipping a beat right after Tazuna was pleading and crying, as all the members looked towards him. But Sakura said, looking towards Naruto, those people, his family, they're not our concerns. He lied about the mission. Something like that could have gotten us killed. Why would we sympathize or risk our life for someone that is clearly willing to risk ours? If you want to head back to the village, head back, Sasuke said. I'm continuing on with this mission. I'm not gonna run from anything or anyone. Do you really want to continue with something that you have no knowledge about? Something that might end your life? I don't plan on dying anytime soon. So if you want to go back, fine, go. But I'm going, Sasuke said as he made up his mind. He came here to test himself. As a point of fact, he did not really give a damn about anything going on with the mission too much. He wanted to test himself to see if all of these training, everything was paying off. And doing that outside, facing off against real enemies, was the only way to gain the experience and strength that he needed. Sasuke is right, Sakura said. We can't just leave those people and his family alone. I know he lied, but we can help them. We have Kakashi-sensei with us, and you were able to take down those two. So we'll be fine, Sakura said. As she was going off of nothing but emotions, something that Naruto never did. She felt sorry for Tazuna. After hearing about his daughter and his grandson, she wanted to help them. As Kakashi weighed the thoughts and opinions in his mind, he decided to go ahead. Naruto did not question his orders, as Kakashi sent word back to the village about what was going on, what truly was, as they wonder if Naruto was upset, given that he simply went quiet after they decided to go, as Tazuna was looking towards them. When Naruto and his eyes met, Tazuna looked away. However, Naruto was not upset, nor did he too much care. He was not the leader of this team, because if he was, they would be going back. Because he did not care about this old man, and he did not care about their people. After all, he did lie. But Kakashi was also using this to help Naruto, as Kakashi did not like the way that he operated and the way that he did operate. It might be good for most scenarios, but for some, it would be truly dreadful. Kakashi looked at him and all he saw was a root ninja, and that was not good. He needed to think with emotion sometime, because sometime that would save his life. So he wanted to show Naruto that not everything was just black and white. So they headed off, making their way towards the land of Wave. Wasn't much was said until they reached a boat, as Tazuna started to explain more about Gato when Sakura asks, how long have things been this bad? And things were truly bad there. When they got off the boat, as the man there wished them farewell and also wished them luck, hoping that they could be the change to the village that they so desperately needed. As the place started to get rather foggy, the place was obscure in visions. No one could see a good feet in front of them, as they had to stay close. They heard ruckus in one of the bushes, as Naruto gazed focused on the area in front of him, where the fog seemed to lessen slightly. Suddenly a rabbit jumped out. Sakura breathed out, as she thought that it was someone ready to attack them. Kakashi Gaze noticed something odd about the rabbit. "Get down!" he shouted as he heard, tackling the client down and the others jumping downwards. A massive blade impaled a tree. Appearing on the hill was none other than Zabuza Momochi. As the man stood there, looking as intimidating as ever, Sasuke snapped his gaze up. He stepped forward as he picked himself up, however Kakashi placed a hand out. Zabuza Momochi, otherwise known as the Demon of the Mist. Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja. No wonder why the demon brothers did not make their way back. Well, I'll do you a favor. Hand over the bridge builder there, and I won't have to kill you and your Genins. After all, we both know that I would be doing them a favor. Is that so? Said Kakashi. Of course. These kids nowadays have no idea what being a true ninja is about, how ruthless this world actually is. You, on the other hand, you grew up in those times. So, take my offer. You only have a second to do so. I'm afraid I can't do that, Kakashi said as he raised his headband. After all, it's our job to protect this man. Therefore, I'm just gonna have to take you down. Zabuza chuckled. No wonder you were in our bingo books. I never thought I would get the opportunity. You're quite famous after all. Well, I guess it's time to test myself against a copy ninja. And I guess it's time to test myself against a demon, Kakashi said as he told the others to quickly form around Tazuna. This is not a fight that they could get involved in. However, bloodlust started to reek in the area. Sasuke found himself dying, as he felt like he was being crushed, like he was being swallowed. His mind, his body, he could not handle it. This feeling, it was dreadful. Sakura was not doing any better, as the bloodlust was so much, so overwhelming. She felt like she wanted to curl up and just die. Sasuke, on the other hand, he was afraid, as it brought back mental images, mental scarring. He raised his kunai up, however he stopped. As everything stopped, their gaze turned towards Naruto, who had his eyes closed. However, what they saw was the physical manifestation of his chakra, which wasn't supposed to be visible. However, it started to spread. It spread like a wild blanket, swallowing and enveloping everything, pushing away the violent intention in the air. Zabuza was rather shocked. What the hell? Surprised that a kid was able to achieve such a feat, especially against him. However, it was over. Zabuza appeared in the center of the group. And now it's done, he said. However, as he lifted his blade up, suddenly he could not move it. And that split second cost him as Naruto drive his blade right through Zabuza's shoulder and pulled downwards. However, the man turned into water. Kakashi was stopped inches away as he was about to intervene by jumping in. However, the real Zabuza jumped out of the foliage. Kakashi ducked and twisted around him and slashed. Kunai met blade. That was until the real Zabuza came out and kicked him away, right on the water. Team 7 watches Kakashi got captured in a spear of water. He immediately shouted at them when Zabuza created a water clone. Naruto, take them and go, he shouted. The clone cannot stay far away from the original. Go now, he said. Despite what Naruto was able to achieve so far, this was not an opponent that he could handle. Sakura swallowed in fear. What do we do, she said. Naruto went through hand sign wind style. Gale palm, he hit the ground. As a lot of dust kicked up in the area, as he looked towards the other two. The clone of Zabuza kept on moving. As if this is going to stop me, he said. You brats, well, one of you might be better than the others, but it still won't be enough. Suddenly, a massive fireball came raining outwards. The clone jumped up in the air. Nice try, but still too. He snapped his gaze up as Naruto was descending from the sky. He brought his blade around to slash Naruto in half, but before he could make contact, Naruto's body erupted, blowing him to smithereens, causing another explosion. The real Zabuza had to slash downwards, stopping the weak fireball that wasn't able to reach him. He brought his hand up with the intention to create another clone. However, 3 kunais with explosive tags appeared, flashing through one-handed seals as he threw his blade upwards. He brought his hand down, creating a vortex of water that shoot outwards. The kunais exploded against it, but he was completely protected and fine as he raised his hand to catch the blade, which he did successfully. When he looked down, as the real Naruto came bursting out of the water. What the hell? He didn't even feel or sense anything. Just who the hell is this brat? 2 blades made contact. Zabuza was shocked. This was just a kid. Why wasn't he immediately overpowering him? It didn't make any sense. That is when he noticed something. 1 second later and it would have been over. He quickly released Kakashi as he jumped away. However, the kunai slashed against his cheek, another one slashed against his leg, and one stuck into his arm. He cursed as blood splattered in the water. As Sakura Haruno was in a tree, a distance away, as she was the one that threw them. She was to the right. When the smoke had been cleared, the only person that was standing there was Tazuna, surrounded by 5 of Naruto clones. Zabuza then heard it and felt it at the same time. When he turned, a massive inferno was raging towards him, courtesy of Naruto and Sasuke, combining fire and wind to create a literal vortex of death. His intention was to jump away. However, Kakashi was to his right, and behind him, the Naruto that was standing there plunged his hand into the water and did what seemed to be impossible. As a large section of the ocean rise, even Kakashi was shocked. That technique was no normal technique. The water rise up into the sky, water style. Tsunami of death, said Naruto. The thing seemed to double upon itself as it came down with so much force and pressure. Zabuza cursed as everything came down towards him. Boom! When the inferno and the water met, it created a massive steam that filled the entire place. It was the real Naruto that performed the water technique. Sasuke was standing beside a clone. When the smoke cleared, as Kakashi gazed into the smoke, Zabuza was standing there. However, he was able to evade most of the technique, it seems, by covering himself in a dome of water. However, it seems like he didn't come off scot-free. His left arm was messed up, burned, and bleeding. 2nd degree and 1st degree burns on his arm. He cursed, as he couldn't believe kids did this to him. He underestimated them and now he was paying for that. As Zabuza looked around, he was surrounded on all sides. The clone of Naruto and Sasuke on the shore, Sakura in the tree, the real Naruto. Behind him, Kakashi to his other side. He was right in the center. However, something happened. It was Sakura. Naruto snapped his gaze over there, so did Kakashi and Sasuke. When she fell, the next moment Sasuke fell as well, as a hunter nin arrived, sending several needles towards Naruto and Kakashi as they jump away. As Zabuza and the hunter nin fled, Naruto took off, immediately going after them. "No, let them go," said Kakashi. As Naruto looked towards him, "Check on Sasuke," he told Naruto as he went over towards Sakura. When Naruto flipped over the Uchiha, for the first time in a stressful situation, emotion flashed across his face. As Naruto looked at Sasuke's lifeless corpse, he stood there unmoving, unblinking, showing no emotions as he started to feel strange. Something was not right. Something was not right with him as he looked at a friend that was now dead. However, Kakashi placed a hand on his shoulder, Naruto not even noticing when the man came near to his side. "It's gonna be alright. They're going to be fine." "They're dead," said Naruto. "No, look at his neck." Naruto looked down, focusing as he saw this small protrusion. "What is this? I can't do this here. Pick him up and let's head back to the house." "But they're gonna be fine, there's nothing to worry about," Kakashi told him as Naruto reached and picked up the Uchiha, making sure to hold him steady as they headed back off, Tazuna leading them to his house. A distance away, Zabuza slammed his massive blade into a tree as the thing fell down. Forced to run like some damn coward, he hated it. However, it was his fault, underestimating those brats. He would have his rematch once his arm is properly healed, and he will kill Hatake, and Haku will handle the rest. But guys, be and subscribe right here if once the next part to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.